Hey. Happy New Year, good people. Happy New Year, Happy New Year, Happy New Year. This fruit fly is going to be the freaking end of me. But you know why? It's because I have a fruity drink. That's why it's being annoying. But anyway, Happy New Year, Happy New Year, Happy New Year, all my 2023ers. I'm so happy we all made it through. I just want to get into it. I'll do another video on my New Year's resolutions and things of that nature. I'm back doing show reviews. So you guys know I had shared that I wanted, that I'm doing show reviews, and I've been reviewing Krishan Rock and Blueface show Crazy in Love on the Zeus Network. If you have not checked it out, let me first say thank you so much to my 2,000 plus viewers on my Krishan and Blueface videos. I just gave some honest and real and genuine content, and clearly it was received by the community because 2,000 plus people then watched it. So thank you guys. I appreciate you for that. Let me also say this. Please make sure that you subscribe, because the 2,000 views ain't adding up to the 400 something subscribers. So if you have checked out my Krishan and Blueface video, then please make sure you check out also. You also make sure you subscribe. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you like. Make sure you leave your comments about my commentary. You know, just let's get in touch, because I'm not doing it just to be talking into the screen. I'm doing this because I want to connect with folks and hear what they think about these shows, what's their feedback about what I think, yada yada yada. Right? So the next show I'm gonna review is The Best Man. What is it called? The Best Man's grand finale? Let me see. Hold on, because I have my notes here. Ooh. And I'm excited because I happen to love, when I say love, both Best Man movies, love. I can't pick one over the other. I love them both. So what it actually is called is The Best Man Final Chapters. Final Chapters. Now, I know I've seen that folks have binge watched all, I think, 8 or 10 episodes. So you guys are probably way ahead of me. Me personally, I've only watched 2, and I only had the review for 2. So I'm not going to do both here today. I'm going to do the review for the first one, the first episode here today. And if you're not watching it, go on Peacock, check it out. I think it's an excellent series thus far, and I'm only 2 episodes in, which made me wanted to review it, because from what I see, it's going to be a lot of controversy and a lot of talk about things that affect us in the African American community and our culture. And you know, just the way some professional adults, black people at that, are handling it, and what we would have done differently, what we could relate to, so on and so forth. So that's what made me want to review the show, right? So let's get into it. I'm not going to keep you too long. I've been talking already 3 minutes. Get your sip. Before I go anywhere, before you start watching my commentary, go subscribe to the channel. Do that first. Subscribe first. Go and subscribe right now. Go down, scroll up on the video, and go and subscribe to my channel. After you subscribe, I want you to copy the link and send this video to all of the folks that you know watch these type of shows, because I want you to be able to say, hey, look at this girl's commentary about our show. We need to have some feedback on it. So tell me if you agree with this, because I know this could become roundtable conversation, kitchen talk, right? So share it with whoever you think it resonates with, because not everybody watch these type of shows, but then there is the folks that do, which are me and you. And after you subscribe and you share, if you like the video, you like it. If you have comments that you want to put underneath, you put the comments. I'm not deleting no comments. I'm not beefing with nobody about their opinion, about their comments, because that's their opinion. I'm allowing the conversation to flow, because that's why I'm here reviewing the shows, because I want to have dialogue about these shows, right? And also because, like I said about Krishan and Blueface, the only difference with these folks are they are older adults. With Krishan and Blueface, they're just younger people. So I wanted to have conversation about, if you're a parent, an aunt, an uncle, a godparent, and you have young people, let's have some dialogue about the way relationships look today, some, not all. And now with this show, The Best Man of Final Chapters, let's have some dialogue about black people professionals in the way they are handling day-to-day life, right? So that's all reviews are about. It's about having some dialogue about what's taking place on the show and having separate opinions, and also bringing a different perspective to what you might think, because a lot of times for me, I know my perspective really is rooted in how I was raised and the way I came up in the family I derived from, and everybody comes from a different family. Right, so I would like to hear if there's some things that you can or can't relate to on this show, and why, if it resonated with me, why that shocks you. If it resonated with you, what you want to share with me about that. Like, that's what I do this for. So make sure you're subscribing, you're sharing. Those are the two you have to do. And after you do those two, you can choose to like and comment if you like. Alrighty, so let's get into it. I hope and pray that you guys have all seen the Best Man movie. So they have the Best Man and then they have the Best Man Holidays. I'll probably get into a little bit of the background on this video, but I won't get into too much because this video is not about the Best Man Holidays. It's actually, or the Best Man movie. It's actually about the new show that's out, the Best Man series called The Final Chapter. Righty? All right. So here we go. I'll give you a little bit of background on the characters, but not too much. You have to go watch the movie so you can know why the plot is so important, right? Okay, the Best Man, the first episode is called Paradise, right? Episode 1. It starts off with good old Harper, right? Good old Harper, his name is Harper, but I call him good old Harper. Harper is Taye Diggs, right? So it starts off with Taye Diggs, and when it initially starts, so Taye Diggs is looking good. Taye Diggs is looking good, which I can appreciate because there were some things that occurred on the two movies that didn't go too well. So Harper is looking good. I can definitely give him that, right? And it looks like he's at a speaking engagement, and Jordan is there. Jordan is played by Nia Long, and they have long-term history, but she's there smiling and all of that, so it looked like things are going well between them. I think she might just be there supporting him at his speaking engagement, right? Like I said, they're all smiles, everything is good, yada, yada, yada. The next scene, it flashes over to Shelby. Now, Shelby is another character. I can't remember Shelby's real name, and I'm going to be honest with you. If she played in other things, I can't actually roll what those shows or movies are off my tongue, because she really just stood out for me in the Best Man movies. I don't really remember her in other shows, and I don't remember the character she played. But anyway, what it showed was that Shelby was on the show Watch What Happens Live. Watch What Happens Live is a show with Andy Cohen. Andy Cohen is the super producer and everything else behind all of the Real Housewives franchise. And when it showed her there, I wondered how much Bravo has to do with this movie, because I can't imagine that folks could just say, hey, can we just use your show for something? And Andy Cohen saying, yeah, sure, great, bring it on. So I wonder if Bravo has their hand in maybe funding this movie or something like that. I don't know. But the reason why she's on Watch What Happens Live, because in Shelby's career, she's a reality show star. And granted, the Bravo network, they deal with reality shows. So she's supposed to be like on one of their reality shows, and she's crazy. She was crazy in the movies too, right? And he's just there interviewing her and talking about one of the shows that she's on that's supposedly on their network, right? So then he goes into the conversation and he says, well, what do you feel about Quentin and him being engaged? Right? And Quentin is played by the crazy Terrence Howard. Again, you have to go back and look at the movies to see how crazy Terrence Howard character is in both of the movies, and you also have to see the dynamic between Terrence Howard and Shelby. Well, his name is Quentin. Between Quentin and Shelby, that's why Andy Cohen asked that question. So at first she like, listen, I don't give a damn about no Quentin getting married. I ain't checking for Quentin, yada, yada, yada. But then Watch What Happens Live flashes to the reality show that she's on, and they show her getting the news of Quentin getting married, and then they show her acting a damn fool. So Andy Cohen is like, okay, well, if you don't care, y'all just friends, why when you got the news, you was going on like a coup, and everything under the sun. So she was like, listen, I'm happy for him. I don't care, yada, yada, yada. He said, okay, well, if you really don't care, then I'm forced to, stick the nail in the coffin and give you some feedback on who he's marrying. Child. So Quentin is marrying the beautiful, the illustrious, the very classy Nicole Ari Parker Cujo. Hello, that's my girl. Her and my mom have the same exact hazel eyes. She plays Siamata. What's the second name? Siamata Imani. Ooh, not Siamata. That's a lot of Panamanian women name. I'm sorry, not Panamanian, Dominican women name. I remember when I used to go get my hair done at the Dominicans. I used to love to get wash and sets with them, and it was like 5 women in there named Siamata. So I don't know. I took a liking to that name for whatever reason. They're also always very nice. But in any event, she played Siamata Iman and honey, I'm sorry, Siamata Imani, but she calls herself the unicorn. Honey, Nicole Ari Parker Cujo did not come to play, honey. She was strutting. She looked youthful. She looked vibrant. And she was one time for these hoes' mind. On top of that, she had Quentin in the smash. And what was so odd about that to the friend group was like Quentin always came across like he could never be in a smash. He always talked about women and, kind of labeled them as hoes and how, he would never be one-on-one with a woman and he was going to be a player for life. So to see him, getting married was a shock for the entire friend group because they like, not Quentin. But to see who he was getting married to, which was Siamata Imani, was well worth it, right? Let me tell you what, and then Andy Cohen, messy behind ain't no good. After he announced who she was, he started running down her resume. So it says that she's called the Unicorn, and she's an influencer, singer, songwriter, actress, performer, spokesmodel, and businesswoman. So now after Andy said all that, he looking at Shelby like, girl, what you going to do? Because it seemed like you got a little competition. So she was like, listen, I ain't checking for the hoe. I ain't got time for that, right? So that scene changes. That scene changes. So now it flashes back to Harper. And he was on the phone with I think that's his manager. I never got the man name, even in the second episode. I never got the man name, but Harper does talk to him often. Again, Harper is played by Taye Diggs. He's actually one of the main characters, if not the main character. And he's talking to his manager on the phone. What I love that he had, and I'm going to consider getting when I get my little office space, is he had a standing desk. I like standing desk. I feel like I've worked a lot of years in an office and sitting, I still get 10,000 steps a day, but sitting for the majority of your day, especially at work, can make you very lazy. So I think moving forward, I'm going to request a standing desk. Shout out to my payroll secretary, Melissa. Hey, girl, can I get that? We'll talk when I get back. All right. But I like that. He was standing at the standing desk he was working, and he gets a call from, if it's not his manager, it has to be his publicist. I want to say it's his manager though, because it seemed like he handled the day-to-day business stuff, right? And he lets him know that they want to make his very first book, because that's what Harper as an author, they want to make his very first book, Unfinished Business, a movie. Child, when I tell you the reason why The Best Man exists is because of that goddamn book. It's because of that goddamn book. Lord, that book was drama. Y'all gotta go back and watch The Best Man movie. That book was drama. More importantly, that book was drama within their friend group, right? So it caused Harper to get the dog shit beat out of him. Like, it just was a lot of drama with that book. So now when the manager is saying like, hey, they want to make it a movie, Harper's like, oh, Lord, I don't know if I want to rehash that, because I just got back cool with my friends since that incident. We just got back being okay, and I don't want no smoke about this goddamn book, right? So he was like, give me some time to think about it, yada, yada, yada. So he goes, and now he's sharing with his wife, Robin, about the offer. Let me say this. Robin is played by Sanaa Lathan, right? Sanaa Lathan, it's my homegirl. Yeah, she was there. So what we do find out, because when the last movies went off, it shared that she was a chef and she was up and coming, yada, yada, yada. So it shared that she had started a frozen meal line, and the frozen meal line was really successful and things were going well and yada, yada, yada. And Taye Diggs was saying like, honey, I'm so happy for you, but you seem a little overworked, and we have a daughter. Do you need help? So she's like, no, I'm good. I'm good. So then he was like, okay, well, what you think about the movie deal and yada, 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 and so on and so forth. And Harper was like, you know, he was kind of worried about the critics and his writing and how he feels like he's not writing up to his fullest potential and things of that nature. And Tonale, aka Robin, was like, man, fuck the haters. We ain't got time for that, right? She was like, but what you do need to do is, if you're going to go that route, you need to check the temperature of your friends because you don't want no problems. So Harper said, you mean in particular L Boogie. And she was like, exactly. Now, L Boogie is Lance. Lance is played by Morris Chestnut. Lance, come down to the Hill and Hearts office. Come down to the Operation Hill 100 Hearts office, Lance. Lance, come down. Come have a one-on-one session with me, Lance. Come down to the Hill and Hearts to the Hill and Hearts office. Lance is a football star. He's a now retired one. In the initial Best Man, he was a star on a football team. Him and Harper got into it over this damn book. And when I tell you Lance beat the brakes off of Harper, child, I gotta cover my eyes. I kept, no. Lance, don't take it there. Lance, don't do it, Lance. Lance, don't do it, brother. I mean, Lance whipped on Harper something mean about that book. I'm telling y'all, go watch the Best Man movie and then watch the Best Man Holidays. But anywho, Harper got beat down to the ground. Lance do not play. Lance need Hill and Hearts. Sidebar, shameless plug. My YouTube channel is called Operation Hill 100 Hearts. That's also the name of my IG. That's also my trauma center network that I run, where I do one-on-one services for people who need trauma center counseling. So if you're interested, hit a sister up. But in any event, we called Lance to the Hill and Hearts office immediately because the way he beat the dog shit and the way he dog walked Harper, I'm scared for this movie to come out because Lance ain't fuck play. Lance is not for play. You know, so anywho, basically what Robin was saying was, you know, check in with him because you remember how he dog walked you about the book. You don't want him to saddle back you about the movie. So I felt, because I was like, listen, girl, this is how I feel. Now, I understand you probably kept that whipping and kept on ticking the last time, but if I see another man tear into your asshole like a thong, I'm going to have to break up with you. Come on now, you ain't going to be getting beat down in my face like that. So I think Robin was like, now listen now, check in with L Boogie first, right? So he was like, yeah, I'm going to make sure I do that, yada, 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 right? So it moves forward to Robin and Harper going to brunch with Julian and Candace. Julian is Merch. Lord Merch. Merch is another person. Robin and Candace are like outskirts. They're the wives. They're not really the college friend circle. They're the wives of people who are in the college friend circle. Candace is Merch's wife. Merch, aka Julian, is in the circle, right? Is in the friend circle, right? So before he got there, first of all, I want to talk about Candace, that's played by Regina Hall. Now, I love Regina Hall. If Regina Hall grew up in my neighborhood, we would have hung out. I love Regina Hall. I love her acting skills. I love how she could not play with you, but then she could also play serious. I love her diversity in her acting skills. I love Regina Hall, right? But Regina, and granted, in all fairness to Regina, she was kind of in like the soccer mom role. So what it is that her and Julian, aka Merch, have opened up a school. They have daughters now. So she's kind of in the soccer mom role. But baby, that wig, that was a foster kid counselor wig. I didn't like that wig. You know what that wig remind me of? Y'all ever seen Sleeping with the Enemy? Sleeping with the Enemy, Julia Roberts. Julia Roberts was getting dog walked by her man, and she decided to, fake her death and leave him. But when she leave him, she had to change her appearance. And one time when she was trying to visit her mammy and she didn't want to show up how she used to look, you know what, Regina Hall? That's the Sleeping with the Enemy wig. I didn't like that for you. I didn't like that for you, Regina. I like you, and that was not for you. It didn't give soccer mom wig. I'm sorry. It didn't even give whatever type of wig. That's a sleeping with the enemy wig. Regina, if you're going to wear that wig for the entirety of this series, I may have to log out. I may have to log out because I can't stand that wig. But in any event, they at the brunch, and she's there before, they actually came together, but Merch went to go park the car. So she was kind of like prepping them for when Merch come in, things not to do, because she is not in the mood for her crazy-ass, lunatic-ass man, and he's being a lunatic because Quentin chose Harper to be his best man. Again, if you watch the Best Man movie, you would know why he would be pissed about that, because nobody would want Harper to be their best man from the shenanigans that went on the last time. So Merch is like, word? We all friends, and you want to pick this one that fucked up his last best man duty to be your best man? So she's telling them, like, listen, Merch is pressed and distressed about that. So please, y'all tiptoe around bringing that up, yada, 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 right? So they got the kids there at the brunch, which I found to be kind of odd. I thought it was supposed to be like a grown-up brunch. But, maybe sometimes people don't have a babysitter. I don't know. So they brought the kids to the brunch. Also, Candace was there saying, because like I said, she got her sleeping with the enemy wig on. I could tell that they were trying to paint the picture that she was like an overworked mom. Also, that's why the children were there, because it was almost like I never get a break type of thing, right? So the kids was turned up, honey. So she's there saying how much she need a vacation and so on and so forth. And, Robin was like, okay, so let's talk about some good news, right? So Harper has been offered this to become a movie, and yada, 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 right? So Candace is like, I know how much drama that book caused from before, and she was like, granted, we all do crazy stuff in our college years and yada, 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 right? So she's having dialogue. They're all having dialogue as adults. One of the little girls going to say, after she brings up her college years, the little girl going to say, when you was a stripper. Now I'm thinking to myself, girl, first of all, why you in grown people business? Second of all, what? So Regina Hall gave her the face like, girl, don't make me backhand your ass. So that kind of floated by, but I looked at it like them kids too grown. But okay, neither here nor there, right? So now Julian arrives, right? So he starts to bring up immediately, like, no, I'm fine about the best man thing. Y'all don't worry about that, yada, yada, yada. Everybody looking at him like, okay, I hear you, right? So, Candace is basically like trying to steer away from the best man stuff, but still keeping in the room and talk about the wedding. She's like, well, that's good. We all gonna have our vacation time. We all gonna do B2 and yada, 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 yada. So then the same little girl who said, is that when you were a stripper? The next question was, so it sounds like, she said, are y'all gonna have sex? Again, Regina, you give me you a backhander, little girl. Why you better get this little girl formation. So again, Regina looking at her, because again, Regina got the face like, girl, don't get ACS called on me. So I guess Julian must be like the good parent. He assessed that. He tried to step in, and he was like, and because the other daughter was like, well, what's sex? And Julian tried to clean it up. He was like, well, it's like a dessert and all this BS, he said. And then the little girl that said, what's sex? She said, well, then can I have sex? And I'm looking at Julian like, you fucking idiot. You didn't think she was going to ask that after you told her it was something tasty and good that she enjoyed, duh. But anyway, that went by, right? That went by. Then it shifted to Shelby and Joel, and they was having lunch, and in the last Best Man movie, Jordan, who is like the power-driven, successful woman, but she's single. But in the last movie, I gotta Google that white boy. That white boy, well, y'all know how I feel about the white boys. But anyway, I'm in love, and I'm with a black man. So I ain't gonna comment on the white men no more. But in any event, I still got eyes, and that white boy was fine. And me personally, I wanted it to work. But it just didn't work. So she's single again, and Shelby was like, girl, please. But in any event, you don't need to be single. You need to be getting rocked and socked, and you need to be in love and all this stuff, right? So that Shelby is trying to gas Nia Long, which is Jordan, up to say, hey, have me as a +1 for the wedding. And she like, Nia Long like, girl. Jordan, let me call them by their character names in the show. I'm sorry. Jordan was like, girl, I'm not getting in the mess with that. I'm not doing all of this. You're not going to that wedding with me. You just have to hear about it when I get back and give you all the deets. I'll give them to you play by play. Don't mix me, bitch. Okay, moving on. So then they move on to the next scene where Merch and Harper is going to visit Lance because they saying he never answered the phone, and then when he do answer the phone, he make dates and he renege on them. So they was like, well, something need to be done about this, and yada yada yada, right? So they pulls up to Lance. I'm guessing this is a hotel room because it's not his home that he shared with the beautiful Mia. So, and his children, they pull up at Lance's room, right? Lance busts the door open and busts the floor open. Child, I watched Lance on, and I don't know if this part was a body double because I can't see how it could be. But again, they do beautiful things on production, so I can't say if it could have been. But in any event, when they bust open the door, Lance had on a robe, but he had the robe open and his midriff was showing, and apparently the rod was out, and okay, a black man. Beautiful one at that, but in any event, he was there. They was like, okay, we want to talk to you, but you got to put that away, right? So in any event, they came. He was like, okay, we'll come inside, yada, yada, yada. When they walk in, Venus and Serena sitting on the couch, okay, and it looked like it's about to be a tennis match that went down. These was two strippers that looked like they was ready to lick and suck on all three of them men simultaneously. So Harper and Merch was like, oh, God, we married. We trying to look away. We don't want no smoke. And Chestnut is looking like, yeah, this is what I do. Pee-wee out and all. So he asked the two young ladies to excuse them, get them some privacy and yada, yada, yada. And when one of them went past, I think she said, I like the little one. It was like, because, Merch and Harper, they more cornier than that. So they more scarier. So they was like, okay, leave us alone. We don't want any smoke. So I was cracking up. When they get into privacy, they start to say to Lance, like, we understand that you lost your wife, which is one of the things that happened. His wife passed away if you go and you watch the Best Man movies. She was a part of the college friend circle as well, both of them as a couple. And, he retired from playing football. So they was explaining to him, like, how they know, him doing both has mortified him, but he can't keep going on with this reckless behavior and yada, yada, yada. You got to go home. You got to take care of your kids. You got to do what you got to do. And he just was sharing, which is very realistic. And I felt like he needed Operation Heal 100 Hearts. You guys hit me up if you need a trauma center network and you need one-on-one sessions, family sessions, couple sessions, or anything of the above. But in any event, I felt like what he said was valid and it made sense. And I would have validated his feelings in that moment if we were doing some counseling sessions together. He said, I cannot go home because everything at home just reminds me of her and our life that we were supposed to have together. And he was like, it's almost unbearable for me to deal with the fact that she's not here because I imagine this life with these kids and these riches and me retiring. I imagine spending the rest of that life with her. So to not be able to do that, and it's nothing that I can do about that, it breaks me. It breaks me. So in order for me to cope with being broken, I go around and get my knob slobbed as much as I possibly can. So they both was like, okay, well, just get a vasectomy and make sure you use condoms. And he was like, sometimes I do. So it was kind of weird in that moment. But, they tell him, they're like, well, listen, to get your mind off some things, I'm sorry, you guys, how about you come and go to Quentin's wedding? So he's like, I'm thinking about it. So what Harper said was, when you come, we could all sit down and talk about some things. Now, what he wants to talk about is, I know last time when I had wrote that book and you dog walked me, right now I'm about to make a movie of it and I don't want you to, stampede me. So I want to talk about that. In so many words, that's what Harper was saying. So Merch knew that. And Merch was like, listen, we can talk about that right now. Like, let's get it going. And Harper is like, no, he cannot. Because again, Harper it's so crazy because I seen like a meme thing or something I seen where it said Harper was an Aquarius. And I'm like, wow, I could see some traits of Harper being an Aquarius when they said that, because they tried to give like all of the signs of the characters in that movie. But the one thing that I seen was that he might be more of an Aquarius male because Aquarius females are very confrontational, says the Aquarius female. I'm working on that. I'm in healing hearts myself. But in any event, so when I noticed that he always runs from confrontation, but in all fairness to him, the way he got dog walked that last time, I don't necessarily think he's only walking away from just regular confrontation. I think he know that this perfectly structured black man with every bone in his body being a muscle will kill me like he almost did the last time. So that's kind of why he's hesitant to bring things up, which I can understand that, right? And I was cracking up because Lance asked him, he was like, did you I think something came up about him being the best man, and Lance looked at him and was like, did you fuck the unicorn? Talking about Quentin's fiance. And he was like, no, not even in my wildest dreams. And both Merch and Lance said, you better than me. Because, again, Nicole Ari Parker Cujo looks gorgeous. And then she has like some sultry air around her because she's trying to be like mysterious and Erykah Badu-ish. And it's like a turn on. I'm like, go on, Nicole, girl. And she be real sassy and shady and witty in this movie where normally she plays more classy. So I like to see her like that. And I guess that's a turn on for men. So anyway, they like, okay, we getting into it. This is what's going on. You going to the wedding, let's roll. Next thing you know, it flashing them all going to the wedding. They playing Get It Line, Killer With It Wine, one more time. Yes, Sean Paul. I don't really care what people say. I don't really watch what them one do. I liked Sean Paul when he was out, but I almost jumped on his ass because they said that song he had with Beyonce, he was trying to be a little frisky, and Jay put his elbow on his chest. Don't play with me, boy. So in any event, but I like Sean Paul. I danced off his music. So anyway, they playing that music as they all head into Jamaica, yada, 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 right? So as they pull up, they have a SUV, and I think this is the driver of the SUV. She eyeing Lance eyeing her, because again, Lance is a former football player that's still in shape. He's very handsome, so all the women be on him. That's why he keeps going around screwing everybody. So, they peeking at each other, yada, 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 yada. They all get together, except for Lance, because he's still in the SUV screwing the SUV driver when all the other friends got out. They all got out because they were going to meet Quentin and the unicorn, aka Siamata Imani, because they never met her. They just heard Quentin give the news and say, come watch me get married. So now when they meet with her again, first of all, she's all of those things, a businesswoman, a spokesperson, aka a mogul, like she's big deal. And also she exudes like an energy that kind of has you like a little off balance. So I think everybody was kind of nervous to meet her. So that's how they was acting, like on ice, like, hey, how you doing? Hey, how you doing? And I think she could sense that. So she played like a little joke on them. Like she showed up a little stern, but then something happened with her Harper, where she had to make a joke like, what the fuck you say, Harper? And it was like, the unicorn, ooh. And she was, nah, I'm just kidding. So you got to see her come down. And it also showed like what Quentin is attracted to. So I'll use my own situation for the example I'm making, right? My boyfriend is nothing like me. I'm extroverted. I won't say he's introverted, but people would think that because he's not as forthcoming with his personality as I am, right? So that would make people feel like he's introverted and quiet and, he's very calm and cool and collective. But you think a person like me that's so extroverted could be with somebody that's so introverted? No, they have a side of them that is extroverted as well, but it's reserved for certain spaces, right? So I felt like Siamata can show up very business-minded and I'm handling my shit and I got my shit going on and I don't play and I do this and I do that. But for her to end up with a guy like Quentin who's wild and spontaneous and rambunctious, she also has to have that side of her to some level. So I felt like, that's why she did that, like to break the ice and to show you like, nah, I'm cool. I just know to keep it together a little bit more than he probably would. But I'm actually really cool. So she did that with them, and they was looking like, oh, shit. But then they realized, okay, we got it together, la, la, la. She was complimenting Merch and Candace on opening the school. She thought that was remarkable, yada, 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 yada. Then they meet the hostess, Jasmine. Jasmine was really beautiful. She was a natural dark-skinned woman. She came with the rum punches. She was all showing them to their villas, yada, 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 yada. I loved, it was so cute. My boyfriend told me, he was like, don't think we doing that. We do a lot of things. Like, we just had matching pajamas for Christmas. Don't take it this far. What they did was they combined their names. Like, how Jay-Z and Beyonce is like Jay-Yonce. So it was like, oh, my name is Siamata, his name is Quentin. So we queer mortar. My boyfriend was like, me? They are who? And it made it funny because it was like, Queen Water, child, please. So my boyfriend, I seen that and thought that was the cutest thing under the sun. He was like, we're not combining our names, Khadijah. I just had matching pajamas with you. Don't try it. So I was like, got it. I'm gonna still try it, though. I just gotta give it some time. But anyway, so that went well. Back at Harper and Robin's room, Harper was basically saying, which I think they all felt like, this is kind of weird. Like, this ain't Quentin. I don't know what's going on. This seemed kind of weird. Robin was like, listen, I don't care how weird it is. Come and eat this swat, boy. We in Jamaica. I'm feeling horny and lusty. Come and hit this shit. So they went and did what they did. They flashed to Shelby trying to get some deets about the wedding from Jordan. That was null and void, right? So then Lance finally come after he was screwing the door on SUV driver, and he's checking into the villa with the beautiful Jasmine, who was their hostess for the entire time that they're there. And Jasmine is saying to him, because again, he is a physically beautiful man, so he gets noticed everywhere he goes. So some women kind of eyeing him, and she was saying, well, Mr. Lance, I see you have some admirers, and she has a Jamaican accent on, and yeah, Jasmine, Bumbleclip, Passiklot, and I like that, right? Jasmine was cool, right? So, he was saying, well, they must know me from football. So, she was like, American football? So he was like, I'm sorry, what? And she was like, so basically she started explaining to him that American football is kind of a downgrade from what her country considers football, because they feel like American football, you're kind of like giving too many perks, where their culture's football, you kind of got to get it out the mud. And what I saw in that moment is exactly what made me feel like they was going to start liking each other, because I remember that when he first met Mia, the same thing happened. On the first episode of The Best Man, he was a college football star. Old ladies wanted him. They felt like he was the best football player in the world. And what ended up happening was when he met Mia, it was like, oh, well, you know who I am, right? I'm the legendary Lance. And she was like, yeah, I know who you are, but I didn't like your last 2 games. Your back is not good. Your knees need help. You need to follow up on this. You need to run on that, so get better. Anyway, and I think with him, he likes a woman that would give him a challenge. So once Jasmine started downplaying the fact that, he's just like, he just plays American football and he gets a pass and, he's not really doing him, I think he felt intrigued by that. Like, oh. Girl, don't try to downplay me, but I like you because you don't even think I'm more or less, so you ain't sweat me for my career. You just might like me once I show you how much of a superhero I am, right? So I kind of looked at them and I'm like, okay, this is going to turn into a situation, right? So in any event, Harper sits down with Jordan and he's sharing all about the movie, and she's like, oh my God, that's great, Harper. He's like, I'm still a little apprehensive, Jordan, Nia Long, aka Nia Long, basically said, well, listen, I want Beyonce to play me, So, then they start talking about how they feel like Quentin's behavior is kind of like weird, and this is not like him, and what the hell is going on, and yada, 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 right? So, they also, Robin and Candace, come on, Fruit Fly, embarrassing me on YouTube. Candace and Merch go by. They're like, hey, we going over here. Y'all come hang with us. And Jordan was like, well, I can't because I got to make a call. And she was telling Harper, like, don't forget Beyonce got to play me, so don't get it twisted. Then you see Robin and Candace on the beach trying to get some rest and relaxation while the groom's going to meet. So Jordan had... This is why I got to get rich, because that's what happens when you live in the ghetto. Who has their bass on that loud? It's 2023. Anyway, like I was saying, the groom's in a meeting, and Jordan goes over. She's like, I got to take a call. She never kind of got the call or took the call. I can't remember, but she's ordering at a restaurant. While she's ordering at the restaurant, they tell her they don't have what's on the menu. So now she popping junk about, oh, how could y'all not have this? And yada, 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 which was swordfish. That's what she wanted. Apparently, there was a gentleman who ordered the last piece, which was Will. So she liked Will. Will liked her. They start flirting. He starts saying, do you want me to give you a piece of my swordfish? It was some back and forth banter. Nothing really real. I mean, Will, I would have preferred that I guess. Well, I mean, he wasn't particularly my type. He gave me like a Teddy from Black Ink Tea, so I didn't like that. But in any event, so that's where the flirting begins and yada yada yada. So then they flash to the fellas and they're meeting and Quentin is telling how he met the unicorn. And one of the things that he said he did was stop smoking because the unicorn, aka Siamadi Imani, convinced him his body was a temple and yada yada yada. And they just looking at Quentin like, I don't like this. I ain't featuring what's going on with you, but they don't want to say it. And then the pappy arrived. I was going to go into this whole spiel about the pappy and how he talked about overweight women. And I decided not to because, one, I do understand the mindset, and to some degree, I do agree with it. But two, I felt like that was not needed in the show. I felt like that was ignorant. I felt like it was disrespectful. And I felt like it also didn't show the evolution of where we have come about plus size people and the language we use to kind of help them be healthy. So I thought it was corny that they put that in there. I thought the father was old and dead and stinking, and I thought he was going to die on the set. So I said, I'm not even giving him no energy with his gate mouth. I wasn't featuring him. But anyway, the father shows up, and he's there saying, how he was so happy. That's Quentin's father. He was happy he chose a slim mogul and yada, 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 right? Robin is now kind of venturing off on the island. On her, like, she's on her tourist type of thing, and she ventures off on the beach, and she sees a woman with a food hut. And she's very intrigued because, again, that's her style. Like, she does like that catering freelance kind of type of thing. And the lady kind of had her own business. It was a hut, and she's going over the menu and not kind of cooking her own things there. And Robin was very intrigued by that because that's right up her alley. So I was like, oh, okay, fine. Then they flash back to Harp. Then they go over to Harper and Quentin having a heart-to-heart about how Mia dying really changed Quentin. That's what made him want to get married because he felt like, I don't want to die alone and I got to change my life. So that's why Siamata is like the person who kind of has him, just moving differently. And Harper's like, well, congratulations, and then Quentin is like, well, I think you should tell Lance about the deal. I think the movie deal. I think he'll be happy for you. I think, we can move forward and yada, 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 right? So then next thing you know, we hear this big uproar. Psh! So I could tell that it was kind of like somebody splashing some water. So everybody, Lance, Murch, and Quentin go look out the window. And your man, not Lance, Murch, Quentin, and Harper went to look out the window, and once again, your man Maurice Chestnut, aka Lance, is at his antics again. He's skinny dipping, butt naked, all his chocolate is hanging out. So they was like, oh Lord. So they flash over to Jordan. She runs into Will again. Again, nothing to see there. He sneaks a picture of her. She pretends she don't like the picture. Will, again, y'all gotta put Teddy from Black Ink. I can't. So anyway. Lance was leaving a situation he had encountered after his butt naked journey. Bobby picked up a woman, hit it and split it, and as he was leaving, he ran into Jasmine. And Jasmine is like, yeah, I see on the island you're pretty much turned up in that regard, but the island has a lot more to offer. That is particularly why your friends picked this island. It has a lot of spiritual connections to love and, the larger things in life. So you might want to explore the island for those things instead of screwing everybody you meet, right? So once again, he's intrigued because, again, she's a woman challenging him outside of his physical beauty and his physical attributes. She's trying to show him more than just those things, and that intrigued him, which I always liked about his character. That's why I liked him and Mia together. So anyway, now the couple's going to have a couple's dinner and yada, yada, yada. I forgot to say that Quentin said he was moving to Tibet. And again, all his friends is looking like, I don't like this new Quiyamada. Like, they not featuring Quentin because they like, who are you, nigga? We know you from college. This new unicorn, male unicorn you trying to turn into. We don't want to see that, right? So they popping their little junk. And Lance was over there overlooking the boat. And, just, again, I feel like times when he's not screwing women or being butt naked, showing his genitals, it gives him a moment to have deep thought about what he thought his future would be like. And I think he is mortified, which if you watch The Best Man Holiday, his breakdown about his wife dying is probably one of, if not the top, it's one of the top moments in movie history where somebody had an emotional reaction and it evoked an emotional reaction out of everybody watching the movie. So I could imagine, like, he's mortified about losing his wife. So he just, overlooking the ocean, I think is giving him time to think about Mia. And it's like, oh, man, and then Jasmine joins him. And she's like, hi, Mr. Lance. And, they start some dialogue. Like I said, I love her accent. She's a beautiful black woman. And he like, she was calling the last name. He said, call me Lance. And, yada, yada, yada. They start talking, right? What I also noticed was that Candace, once again, is a little annoyed with Merch because I think she felt like this vacation would give us some us time because in our regular life, all we do is work and be parents. So this is for me and you, right? So I could see that Merch was so distracted with trying to, trying to upscale Harper and showing how poor he was as a best man, that he was more focused on that than he was spending time with his wife on his vacation. And I could see that was annoying the shit out of Regina King. And then Regina Hall. And then I think on top of that, the sleeping with the enemy wig only made it worse, right? So I could tell, like I said, they're going to beef about that, right? And then another thing that was noticeable in this episode is Jordan keeps getting this call from MSNBC that she keeps ignoring. And it's like, something is going on with that. That's something else we won't have to pay attention to in the future, right? So Lance and Harper get a moment alone. And Harper finally shares about, the movie deal. So Lance is like, congrats, dog. The congrats that he shared, I'm not going to lie, because normally he's not good at keeping things together. I couldn't really tell if that was genuine or not. But either way, it got interrupted by Quentin's dad's toast. And, of course, he's up the unicorn's ass because she's a mobile. So he's saying all these beautiful things about her. She calls Quentin up and starts saying all these beautiful things about him. They are just all weird, all three of them, right? Quentin is acting weird. Siamata is weird. And the father is weird because he's so interested in Siamata. So it's crazy. But in any event, that went on, right? So then they shared that they was going to do a matching tattoo ring ceremony. And Lance started reminiscing about his own wedding at that time. And his mood just shifted, right? Because like I said, I think anything that brings him back to marriage and love and knowing that Mia is not there, it takes him to a whole nother place. That's why he tried to stay distracted. So when the mood shifted, right, and he went back to the table, it was like, is everything okay? So Harper expressed to the group that he didn't think Quentin was like, he basically was saying like he's concerned for Quentin. This is not really Quentin. What's going on? Yada, 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 yada. You know what Lance said? Lance said, what you trying to do? Derail this wedding too? Lord, again, you gotta go watch The Best Man movie when Lance dog walked Harper for derailing his wedding. But so again, go watch that, right? So Harper was kind of caught off guard. He was like thinking like I thought he was cool. Where that's coming from? So I was doing the same thing. I was like, I hope he don't dog walk you again. Not in Jamaica. Please don't get dog walked in Jamaica. So I just was looking. And then finally Lance came clean and was like he wasn't happy about the deal. And then he just storms off, right? So it's like, the rest of the crew is like, oh, you got to expect that from him. Thank God he ain't punch your fucking skull in. So they like, let him go, right? Merch reminds the group that this would have never happened if Quentin would not have chosen Harper to be his best man because they know Harper best man duties are not always on point. Candace is looking at him like, motherfucker, you worried about did you still on this? Candace got off and stormed off like a lunatic. And you know what happened next? Ding, 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 ding. The infamous Shelby walks in.